Welcome to SPAACES. I know it's hard to hear because we have lots of people talking, we have action here, and I have a mask on. But this is an opening called Rough Around the Edges, and it was curated by Taylor Robinhold and Lane Nixon. And you can see behind me that we have some people walking through. It's opening night. Rough Around the Edges was curated, or the idea of Lane and Taylor, to give artists a time to experiment. So all of the work is experimental or showing something that they normally wouldn't show, maybe because it's a little too risque, or maybe a gallery wouldn't accept it for one reason or another, or maybe it was just an experiment with the medium that they were using, or the content, the representation that they were using in the piece. So we are here in front of a piece that was designed by Cassia Kite, and it is a participatory community stitching work, and people from the community can come in and get their own thread and make their own pieces. So we can see it's a success so far. We have people making art. Cassia Kite is a local artist, and she makes two-dimensional pieces, and she also makes something called sound stitching. With the sound stitching, she takes the color of the thread, and each color of the thread translates into a music note. And the music notes come together for her to play music on a piano with. And it's called sound stitching. So this is very similar to the way she works. She created this. Can you flip it up so you can see how it moves? She created this so that she can eventually use what the community make tonight or make during the duration of the show. She can use this to make a sound stitching piece that she'll eventually use in her own practice. So we're really glad you joined us tonight. We're going to walk around and show you some of the other artworks here. If we go over to this piece, this is a piece by Danielle Diver. Danielle is another mainstay of the community. All the artists, we have 17 artists in the show, and all of them are really active in the arts community. They're all women, and Danielle works at Art Center Sarasota. This piece is called American Mythos, and we can tell them a little bit about it. I'm trying to, I know one is Bill Gates. Let's see if I can find Danielle.
So Danielle is actually in attendance, so we're going to try and grab her and see if she can give a little explanation about this piece specifically. As we see here, there's a lot of business moguls. We have Bill Gates. I believe that's Mark Zuckerberg.
We were trying to figure out who the people were, and I was going to just read the label, but then I'm like, well, that's fine, Danielle, and just read it right from
So everybody,
her.
this is Danielle.
Hi. I'm smiling.
Can you tell us a little bit about your piece here?
Sure, absolutely.
And just try to be just a little loud. Thank you so much.
This is the start of a new series from last year. I started in September, and it was a boots on the ground effort to create a work that was monumental and reflective of the current American consciousness. So I wanted to talk about, in this first piece, the shoulders that I stand on as a white woman, a cisgendered white woman in the U.S., and the privilege that that allows. The rest of the work is reactionary to the time that I spent on the ground in protests during the election, at ballot boxes, and those experiences that I had then. But I wanted to talk about white fragility and where that kind of sits in the American consciousness. And this idea of using a fable to describe that, to talk about something a bit taboo that might be offensive when we talk about fragility and whiteness and what that looks like in America.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Danielle.
You're welcome.
Enjoy the night. So this is a piece here that we have by Sarita Renee. This is actually a photograph that was taken with an intense exposure of an image through a microscope. We have this piece here made by Jenny Medved.
And we have another artist that can talk about her work.
Okay.
This is Esther Side.
Here.
And she'll explain a little bit about it. If you can't hear, please send us a note.
This is Esther. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
If you could just explain as much as you can about your piece.
Okay, so this one is a printed eyes with my mother's portrait, and I was just documenting how the image is melting away on the surface of the eyes, because I'm kind of interested in how things are changing. And I give the title concern because now I'm really separated from her in this time period. I don't have a chance to go home and see her, so I'm really concerned about her well-being, so I made a piece about her.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Jennifer Jones says, "Hi, Esther."
Hi, Jennifer. Where are you?
And I see Cassia Kite joined us. Let's
sure.
go look at the Cassia piece.
See if any progress is being made.
We've already discussed this piece, but I'm just coming back in to see how it's going. We have Nancy Goff, who's a local artist, and we also have Alexandra Martin, who's a local artist, and they're both working on the Cassia Kite piece that's called In Collaboration with the Community of Sarasota. It's a participatory stitching with the community, so
Beautiful.
It's a success so far, Cassia. We just want to let you know.
You want to talk about your piece?
This is a piece that I actually did. My name is Marianne Chappell, and I'm an artist, and I'm the founder of the SPAACES Foundation. And I'm just so grateful that Lane and Taylor put this show together. It's such a success already. This is made out of encaustic wax and cardboard, and the wax acts as a glue, so we don't have to use any glue. So the armature underneath the wax is completely cardboard, so I made it by cutting strips of cardboard together. And the wax has a really beautiful texture, and I use a flat iron to get different textures, and I also use a heat gun. The heat really helps one layer fuse into the next layer. And the content behind this piece is about monuments and flags. I like to study city populations, and I look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you're familiar with that. And Maslow is a scientist that came up with these hierarchy of needs. And he kind of talks about that we need to have oxygen and water and food in order to live, and then above that you go up each level of a triangle and you get to the top, and it would be enlightenment, but you can't go anywhere until you get that safety in terms of food and oxygen and a safe place to live. Well, I look at that within the cities' populations, and what cities have infrastructure and architecture to support people to get to that highest level of enlightenment. So this monument and this flag is a dedication to the people that don't have that kind of safety net and can't kind of move forward up the triangle, in a really short synopsis. But yeah, I work in encaustic wax, and my experiment, because this show is about experiment, is building it three-dimensionally. I usually work 2D, not 3D. So that's a little bit about my piece. As fast as I could talk, if you got all that.
And so we'll look at these pieces along the back wall here. This piece here is made by Meg Pierce, who actually currently has her studio open across the street for people who are here for the opening to come and visit. This piece is made by Diana Lukin. And it is entirely made out of aluminum. Lots of different textures here. Now this piece is made by Kathy Wright, and it is actually an old mattress. All right, now this piece is made by one of the curators, Taylor Robinall. She was inspired by artist Louise Bourgeois, who is a bronze caster. She just thought that she was so brave in all of her art making pieces, and so she was inspired by this piece specifically, and she created her own, and she works in ceramic. And just to let everybody know, if you're not aware, all of our artists that are on display tonight are local artists. This is, all three works here are made by artist Claudia Ryan. Now this here is another interactive piece made by artist artist Lane Nixon. And she's also one of the curators of the show tonight. Now both of these large pieces are made by Alexandria Martin. As you can see, we've had a great turnout tonight. This piece is made by artist Jennifer Jones, who is currently watching us on live. Hi, Jennifer. This piece is made by Julie Canapo. And then these last very large pieces right here are made by Anita Wexler. All right, and now, thank you, Marcus. Accompanied alongside our art show, we have a musician performing for everyone. Now this is Ro.
ছোট হতে হতে স্যাটেলাইট আর কেবলের হাতে ড্রয়িং রুমে রাখা বোকা বসিত বন্দি ঘরে বসে সারা দুনিয়ার সাথে যোগাযোগ আজ হাতের মুঠ বুঝে গেছে শাল খাল সীমানার গন্ডি ভেবে দেখেছো কি তারা যত আলোকবর সুদূরে তারও দূরে তুমি আর আমি দেখবে সুরে সুরে সারি সারি মুখ আসে আর যায় নেশা করা চক টিভি পরদা কোনো করে আগুনের সাথে সঙ্গী আহা হা
This is Ro Mashmati singing, and I just want to give Ro a plug because she's an amazing singer and a fine artist, and she's a student at the Ringling College of Art and Design, and this is all her original music. She's wrote it all, and I just want to come back in to say goodbye to you guys. So I'm really glad and grateful that you came tonight, and we'll see you next time in Spaces.